It almost sounded as if you wrote the speech.
No, I told him.
Javi wrote the Devar Torah.
It almost sounded as if Rabbi Shapiro.
Javi wrote most of the other part, believe it or not.
The mayor said the
delivery
was all hers.
The song was hers.
That wasn't your.
I didn't know that song.
Oh, yeah,
I never heard that song.
Okay, good morning. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Today's share is a big number. The name of the share is Numbers in Halacha. But that was an excuse to spend a moment that this share is share number 500. From the beginning of time until today, there have been 500 Sunday morning rise and learn shiurim, halacha shiurim. Hopefully, as HaGeshem, next week we're going to celebrate it once we get over the hump.
What number will that be?
501.
That's bigger than 500.
Yeah. In a dome, person learns 100 times, a person learns 101 times. So we hope to celebrate next week on 501.
Isn't that like saying Mashiv 101?
Oh, we'll get to that. But today's share we entitled Numbers in Halacha. The subtitle is in terms of Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem. But just in general, somebody said, Rabbi Kier, I thought you're going to give a share about the elections. I am. I'm talking about numbers in Halacha. You know, outside the realm of Halacha, numbers could be very flimsy. They could change, they could warp. What's a number? Even the hollowed holes of baseball, maybe not Cooperstown yet, but baseball, where stats, numbers really are meaningful. There are some famous numbers that have been tainted, broken. You know, it's very tricky. In the world itself, to have strong, honest numbers, unless you have a good Jewish accountant, but an honest Jewish accountant, maybe not take care of the word good. That could be interpreted different ways.
One that maintains 2 sets of books.
Yeah.
Right?
But what do you want the number to be?
I always love it when lawyers tell over accountant jokes. And vice versa.
Rabbi, my favorite is actuary jokes.
Yeah.
You know what an actuary is? Somebody didn't have enough personality to become an accountant.
Wow. Have enough personality to become an accountant. Jesse Gatesman might have something to say about that.
You have to work in the insurance.
Yes, so numbers in the world in general could definitely be fudged. In Halacha, on the other hand, numbers are finite. Our Gemara says, Ko shiurei chachamim kachu. When the rabbis give us a number, they give us a share, that number is exact. Usually, unless they tell us otherwise. So, huh? Yes. So what I want to do and share today is Mashiv HaRuach does get into very specific numbers of how to deal with things. And I would like to talk about that. But before we get to the numbers involving Mashiv HaRuach, first thing I want to do is talk about, in general, the halachas of Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem. Touch on the same Talmud of Racha, and will be coming up in basically a month. So yeah, here in Chutzlar, it's less than that in Eretz Yisrael. So we know that we started on Shmini Atzeres reciting Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem. And we recite that in what we call the Hazkara part of Shemona Esrei, where we're just mentioning it as talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu's power in the Bracha Mechalkel Chayim, that we say Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem. What's the halacha if somebody forgot this? And I'll be the first to say, oh boy, this is the type of year, yeah, you forget things. So if you remember after you finish the bracha of Mechayim Mesim, then you're in trouble already. because the first three brachos of Shemona Esrei, Maginavos, Machayim Mesim, and Akel HaKadosh, those three brachos are considered one big idea, one big theme of being Mazker Hashem's greatness. And if you forget Mashiv HaRuach, and you already said you finished the bracha of Machayim Mesim, then you would have to go back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei. The only time you would be able to insert it as is if you said it, you remembered it within the bracha of Machayim Mesim. So then one could even insert it before he says V'naman Atal HaChios Mesim. You don't have to definitely go back to Ata Gibor, but in the middle there, you could recite Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem, and you're good. But once you're past the bracha Machayim Mesim, you're done ski. You have to go back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei. And that means, if you remember, you get the Baruch Aleinu, and you're like, oh, what am I up to today? Ooh, did I say the same bracha? Or say Talamata? Wait, did I say Mashiv HaRuach? No, I know I didn't. You have to go back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei. So it's one of those things definitely recommended. We'll see in a moment that person A, first and foremost, should focus on it. But B, we're going to talk soon about, is there anything you could do to solve the problem, to preempt the problem? Yes?
What if you said Marie Atol?
Oh. Excellent.
Which is not our...
We could... Oh, right. So, Marada told does not count for Mashiv HaRuach and Marada HaGeshem. And, right, it only confuses things in the Nusach Sfarad. And we'll see. You know, the other way, if you said Mashiv HaRuach instead of Marada told, that might be okay. But I also want to touch on the halachas in contrast to this. Right now, we're still saying the same bracha. We have not yet, here in America, begun saying the same Tal Matar of bracha. In Eretz Yisrael, they're doing that pretty soon. By us, it goes on the secular calendar. The only halacha that really goes on a secular calendar based on different, how do you put it? Geological forces in the world.
Birthday.
Oh, December 4th or 5th? So there we start saying the same Talmud of Racha. There it's different. There, if I end up forgetting to say it during Shemona Esrei, I do not have to repeat it. If you remember, before you say Shema Koleinu, we say you should insert it in Shema Koleinu. But post Shema Koleinu, if you forget to say the same Talmud of Racha, it's no big deal. You don't have to repeat Shemona Esrei. Contrast over here, by Mashiv HaRuach, is that something that you would have to repeat Shemona Esrei. Any mistake you make in the first three brachos is grave enough that you would have to repeat the whole thing. So that's the basic halachas, and that shows us why we have to figure out a plan for Mashiv HaRuach. We could talk about a plan for the same Talmud also once we're at it. But is there any way to fix it, or what to do in certain circumstances? So I want to contrast and learn two halachas in the Shulchan Aruch. Arachayim Siman Kuf Yudalid, first Sif Ches, and then Sif Tes. Very interesting halachas. B'yimos Achama. The Mechaber begins, this is Sif Ches on top of your pages. In the summertime, in the stopik im hizker Mashiv HaRuach im lo. You're not sure, hey, am I still saying Mashiv HaRuach? Am I still in the winter mode? So the halacha is ad shloshim yom, up until 30 days. Up until 30 days, we say b'cheska shehisker HaGeshem. Your mind, you're still in the mindset of the winter, even though technically it already is summer, it's already Pesach time, and we stopped saying Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem. V'tzarech lachzer, and you're going to have to go back and repeat Shemona Esrei. Haga, v'hu adin lididon de'im maskirin tal b'mos hachama. According to us, that we do not recite Morad Atol. Us, the Ramah, is talking to us Litvaks, right? Nusach Ashkenaz. that we do not say Morid Atol, right? We get home earlier than our Nusach Sfard friends who have to say the extra 2 words Morid Atol, especially if you're a Yeki. In this topic, Amar Morid HaGeshem Mimos HaGeshem, if you have a question whether you said it, the halacha is Kol Shloshim Yom Choser, all 30 days you'd go back. Divade Amar Kemoshe Ragel, Varelo Hisker Lo Tav Lo Geshem, Alacher Shloshim Eino Choser. So here the halacha is bringing down that there's an assumption. There's what you call in halacha a chazaka. Chazaka is a legal status. Very smart way that our rabbis set up religious halachic practice. Is there something called a default setting? Right? In yeshiva, we have this all the time. We learn Gemaras. Next Gemara we're learning about is you have a question about a married woman. So a question about a married woman is she's becheskas eishes ish. You haven't established what's her last status. We keep people in their last status until we know something changed. It's not from Einstein. It's from the rabbis. The concept of a chazaka. You keep things in a legal status. So the legal status is if you've been saying davening a certain way, it doesn't automatically change. The rabbis say it takes 30 days for that to change to happen. Who came up with the 30 days? The rabbis. Now, we're going to start hawking. I started the whole share with the introduction that the rabbi shiurim are exact. It's not like numbers outside of the Torah, which could be flimsy. We'll see how many electoral votes we get. Things change, numbers fluff, but we'll see. So, Sivches, the halacha is teaching us that the rabbis assume the number is 30 days. 30 days we assume people are still accustomed to saying things like they used to. Post 30 days, it's a whole new world. So really, it's interesting in halacha, or practically in shuls, lots of klops on the bima. It's not usually something celebrated or even marked, that the 30-day mark post Shmini Atzeres has a major halachic nafkamina, according to this. The first 30 days after Shmini Atzeres, if I have a suffix whether I said the right thing or not, what do we assume? You didn't say the right thing. You still have the mindset from there. But from day 31 and on, you're a new man. That's a simple reading of this halacha, and we'll see if there's any changes. Yes?
This is only Vadai Suffolk. I mean, if you missed it, you got to go
Correct.
back.
I'm talking here about a case of a suffix. Very good. But if you know for sure that you missed it, we'll talk about that case. Let's say you know you missed it, and it's 35 days past. Halacha would be that you go back, 100%. Okay, good. That's the halacha and ches. I want to skip down. Yes?
If you miss it and then you have to repeat, does that miss count as like a negative or something?
Fantastic. Fantastic point. We're going to talk about that. I'm glad I prepared for you. Now, I want to read now halacha tes, and then I'm going to go back and go through some mishaburas. Remind me of your question later if I miss it. In biyom rishon shel Pesach, this is the halacha tes. On the first day of Pesach, Omer birchas ata gibor an mored atol tishim pamim kineged shloshim yom. Mechaber has a nifty idea. Hey, if you want to get accustomed, if you want to start doing it the right way, you want to change your habit, so you know what? Why can't I just say it 90 times? On the first day of Pesach, where we're switching over, we're no longer saying Mashiv HaRuach. Now we're switching to Mored Atol. So I should practice saying Mored Atol 90 times. Right? 90 times is 30 times 3. We equal 90. Misham ve'elach and eno zocher mihizker geshem. Harehu becheskas shlo hizker geshem ve'eno tzarech lachzer. Fascinating halacha. We just said that you have 30 days, and at that point there should be a klop and shul. New day, 30 days past Shmini Atzeres. Now we assume if it's a suffix that you said it. You could actually fast forward the clock. Today we turn back the clock. But here in Siftes, maybe I could have made a pun on that for the today's share. It's not turn back the clock. This is a halacha, how to not just spring forward an hour. We could spring forward 30 days. Talk about time travel. It's right here in the halacha. Josh, you never knew you could do time travel. It's beferish. Mechaber is saying you could travel 30 days into the future. If you start practicing and saying the new lashon for tefillah, let's say on Mechaber's talking on Pesach, you say it 90 times, that will travel you in the future to 30 days, and you have the halacha. If I forget it now, the assumption is, if you're not sure if you forgot it or not, the assumption is you said it. Pretty cool. The Ramah adds over here, V'chein lididanim ama ad nechal kachayim below Mashiv HaRuach v'mar legasha shemaska mosak shamim V'chein im amar b'shmini atzeres tishim pamim ater gibor ad mar legasha in the stock of achakach and hiskar alo chazaka sheskiru. Halacha we just went through. I gotta tell you a story about this. I remember many years, Rachmiel Baruch, I'm sure you'll remember with me. Yeshiva in Queens, we would dance on kafas way, basically right before Shkia. We daven mincha, last tefillah, and then from mincha to Ma'ariv, the yeshiva would have like a farbrengen, a shmooze. Before that, we'd sing. So one of the songs that was quite popular singing, except nobody really sat there counting, right? Each time you sing that song, each time, if you do that 90 times, boom. According to this halacha, we'll get to the specifics in a moment, but now you remember it. Now you got it. Now you just fast forward 30 days. Right, if you're focusing on it to some degree. But Yerachmiel, why is it any worse than H1? That's what you do. But
I meant during singing.
Yeah, okay. Now, the Mishnah Berurah, though, asks here an interesting contradiction between these two halachas. In the first halacha, we said, when does the chazaka change? If you're unsure, if I said the right thing, when does it change? The first halacha measured it in terms of days, 30 days. The second halacha measures it into how much? 90 times. Now, we said these halachas, there's really two ways to ask this question. We said these halachas equally apply to Mashiv HaRuach and HaGeshem Maratol element, but also to the same Tal Matar versus the same bracha. Now, there's a major difference between those two things. The first three brachas of Shemona Esrei you have every day of the year. The middle brachas of Shemona Esrei, we know you don't have every day. On Shabbos and Yontif, we don't say the middle part of Shemona Esrei. We don't say Atachon Elam Das, and we also don't say in the middle Baruch Aleinu. So we're not saying it 3 times a day for 30 days. That number's off. Additionally, you brought up, we end up saying most of Shemona Esrei, if you go through 30 days, seemingly 3 or 4 times those 30 days, really more. Right? Well, it depends how many days Rosh Chodesh you have, how many Shabbosim are in those 30 days. But you have, okay, we'll figure out the exact math, 4.5. But you also have days where you say Musaf. So Musaf will add on to these. So how exactly, where do we come up with the number 90 that sounds like not a exact number? So I want to deal with that question first, and then I'll get to some of the other questions. So if you look at the Mishnah Berurah in Sivkot and Lamed Zayin, the Chavetz Chaim is bothered by this question. And he writes, Shloshim Yom, V'af al gav de b'siftas kasev, Didai b'tishim pamim. The next halacha the Chavetz Chaim is going to write, it's good enough just 90 times. Uv'shloshim Yom yesh yoser, mizem ne'tfios musafim. Here he's asking, really, you need more than 90 times because you're going to have musaf. So what you tell me I only have to do my song for 90 times, right? We should count more because the amount of time, if it takes 30 days for you to become accustomed to this, it's really more than 90 times. To add in the musafim, it says 94.5. Your number is not exact, you rabbis. So kavar tirtu harbe me'achronim. Many of our achronim answer, the shloshim yom gam kein ratzel lomar keminyan tfilos hatmidos yesh b'shloshim yom. It means the normal set of tfilos which are there in 30 days. Dainu shalosh pamim b'yom. All it really means is 3 times 30. It doesn't really mean that we need 30 full days. So he says you don't really need 94.5. It's not every tefillah you would say in 30 days. It's just the norm. We're using 30 days as a norm. When the rabbis use the lashon of Shloshim Yom, they were not being exact, and it means the full power of Shloshim Yom. It means the general idea. It really means 90 times. That's what most achronim are learning, and therefore there's no contradiction. Just like the second halacha said 90, really the first one also means 90. Now the Chavetz Chaim is additionally bothered. In terms of us asking for rain. When do we ask for rain? That's v'sein talamot levracha. In the bracha of Baruch Aleinu, the middle part of Shemona Esrei, which we don't see in Shabbos and Yom Tov, that's what we call bakasha. So where we're asking for things. Right? The first 3 brachas, we're talking about Hashem's power. The next one, that's the azkaras. The next one, there, that's the bakasha, that's she'ela. So over there, the aim b'shlosh yom tishim tfilos, when they tefil Shabbos v'Yom Tov, she'em behem rak shava brachos. So really over there, we don't have even 90. It's much less than 90. You want to use this idea of saying of after 30 days your chazaka changes? Well, it's not going to be 90 times. It's going to be much less than that. How do we say a person's chazaka changes for v'sein talamat or ubracha? So the Chavetz Chaim writes to that, Yitzam is a chumrah. If you're going to say like that, you come out with a chumrah. If you forgot, if you said the Saint Al-Matar, you'd have to go back even after 30 days. Till you have 90 tefillos. The Gra seems to say the number of 30 days is whether it's machmer or mekel, and therefore you could get by with much less than 90 times. And the Chavetz Chaim paskins like this: V'nira de l'maisa yesh l'hakol b'shneim is safek brachos l'hakol. You're allowed to be fully mekel. We're talking here about brachos, and in general the rule is when it comes to a safek bracha, we don't want to potentially say Hashem's name in vain. So therefore, you really could get by with less than 90 times for the same Talamatar. Yes?
When we're doing the 90 times all in one shot.
Yeah.
Right? So you're coming out with more by the same Talamatar or the same bracha.
Right.
Whichever switch you're doing, right?
Right.
So coming out with more than the number that it would have been with the days.
Yes.
Right? So This is the bakasha. We're asking for something here, right? But we're asking for not something the other direction,
Right.
right? So if we're asking for something, then this seems like there's a requirement to do more asking if we're doing it right out of the gate when we're trying to get it. Whereas the praise, so I don't know. It just seems like.
Right. The one thing I would say to your comment, the difference between praising Hashem versus asking things from Hashem, we are using this same system for both,
Sure.
but this system is just to avoid a case of a suffix where you're not sure what you said it. You're still going to actually go through the motions, and you're going to ask Hashem, Baruch Aleinu, and we're assuming you said the same Talmud, because I already said it 90 times. Even though in Halacha now it sounds like from the Chavetz Chaim, let's say a person only said it, let's say 70 times, but that corresponds, probably be less than that, be 70, whatever, but something.
But additionally,
Yeah.
But additionally, the 90 times all in one shot, right? So that's you need that as in a different way. You need a little bit extra than when you're doing something when you're becoming accustomed over several days. Over 30 days in time, that's you're building up something slowly, but you're getting there. But if I'm doing it,
So I want to talk about that. That's a very, very interesting point. Hold on. So the Chavetz Chaim is coming out over here. They're really, when we say 30 days, it means the general 90 times. There are some cases, let's say, V'sein Talmud come out to be less than 90 times to establish the Chazaka. It doesn't seem in Halacha necessarily you could get by with less than that. Not so simple. But I want to read the next part of the Mishnah Berurah just to finish off this Mishnah Berurah because it's such an important Mishnah Berurah, and it really addresses a question that Zelig brought up a couple minutes before. Kasav Ataz, okay, right there towards the end of that Mishnah Berurah. Im shagal gopasu be'ezu yom o yomayim me'ila shloshim yom v'lo spal klal. Let's say you had a crazy day, some person was in the hospital, and you missed davening one of those 30 days. So does my personal clock different than the communal clock? In Shul, right? We're going to make a new announcement in Shul. All the Gabayim out there. It's 30 days since Shmini Atzeres. But for this guy, maybe it's different because he missed a day. He wasn't accustomed to davening one extra day. The Taz says you don't have to worry about that. And there are those that argue with this halacha. Now, really, I saw this play out by others. I want to see where it was. Remember, it was a Kaf HaChaim. Yeah. Kaf HaChaim has a shayla, really the way Zelig said it. So yeah, first I'll address Josh's point. That's probably the best, clearest way to say it. Where does this whole halacha come that potentially I could, what I call the time-traveling halacha here? If the default assumption is after 30 days, things change. So we have, okay, could I speed up the clock? Could I say 90 times now to speed it up? Where's this halacha come from? So I'll tell you. Weinstein reminded me as soon as he walked in. You know where?
Could it be from Chametz after Pesach?
Why?
Where you have to wait 30 days if you're not sure
So
if
that,
it was...
that happens to be, there the 30 days is for a different idea. It's within the knas of, and the assumption of how quick they turn over stock from Chametz Shavuot over Pesach. That's a different reason. But where does this number 30 come from? Or this number of potentially changing? So, if you remember back the days you were sitting in yeshiva, and your Rebbe's teaching you, if an ox gores a cow, what, the first time you pay for half the damages, second time you pay for half the damages, third time, by the fourth time, you pay full. And you're thinking to myself, Rabbi, when are these laws ever relevant? Come on. We don't have oxes today. Most of us don't own cows. And an ox scores a cow. Okay, I'll start translating the Gemara allegorically. But what does this Gemara mean?
Your car crashes 3 times.
Right. Oh, so this is a good lawyer.
Take away your license.
Right?
If your car crashes
Take away your
or
license.
if you crash your car.
If your self-driving car
Yes.
crashes 3 times, you
I
got a
have clients
serious
who
problem.
say that the car ran into the tree.
The car ran into the tree.
Wait,
Tell me, he can only say that 3 times. But we think of those halachas, Shorsh Halachas Sapara, these are classic esoteric halachas that yeshiva boys learn in yeshiva. Actually not. They're very relevant halachic principles. We learn from Shorsh Halachas Sapara, over there's a machlokas rishonim that the Stipler Gaon explains. How do we understand the idea that after 3 times of goring, on the 4th time we establish your status as a muad? Is that a proof to his nature? Look, a kid does something wrong, an ox does something wrong the first time. As one of my rabbis used to say, it was an accident. Right? He was having a rough day. 2nd time, 3rd time. It's only after 4 times we say, okay, no more excuses. We throw the book at you. That's one way to say it. That's what you call it's a simon. The other way you say it is no, it's a siba. It develops that way. No one begins life as a killer. But over time, you do it once, you do it twice, you do it more times, then you're accustoming yourself to do such a thing. And at this point, now you have this new status. This whole idea of 30 days, I could push up the clock, is assuming, and you look at the language of the Mishabura now, you'll see it. He uses all the time, Hurgalu b'kach. We're getting accustomed with that. This whole idea is based upon those shitas, that one would be allowed to assume it works this way, margo themselves with this, and the Mela, that's why you're allowed to change things. You're allowed to make artificial advancements. That's the basis of it. Now, one interesting ramification that was brought up is, let's say you miss a day. So how do we view that? Because let's say you missed the whole day of davening. Do we view that as, okay, as 30 days go on, each day I'm getting closer and closer to changing my habit? But if I miss one day, or I said the wrong thing one day, does that throw the whole thing in a loop and now I have to go back to the beginning? Is that one of those bad cards you get in the Monopoly board? Go back to go?
Is it an individual thing or a kihila?
Huh?
Is it based on the individual
Yeah.
or the kihila?
It's based on the individual, because we're judging people individually. Yes, we'll see. So do I have to go back? So I saw brought down, there's a Kaf HaChaim.
It's the same thing with the chametz, because right.
Yeah.
If Vadai, this chametz was here, then you're not helped by the 30 days.
Right.
I know.
Right.
You're not helped, just like what you asked before.
So it seems like there's a machlokas achronim if it would mess up your entire account. Halacha l'maisa, there are those that are makel. The Kaf HaChaim is makel. I believe.
Mess it up in what way? Change it by 1 day, or send them back to 0?
Send back to 0.
No, it doesn't. No.
In other words, you have to 30.
Right?
Why?
What does your coach say?
You didn't daven
Right?
wrong that day.
You work
didn't
out
daven
every
that
day, and one day you got lazy. You didn't work out.
You don't go back to
Or
0.
just say it 3 times and then you convert.
Yeah?
Come on, his father's a Makara. We're not sending the guy back to 0.
Yeah. That would be harsh.
No.
Now,
Wouldn't it be different in the case where he missed davening altogether and one where he actively said the wrong thing?
so
The one where he said it wouldn't actually make him change his habit and could be starting a whole new habit. Missing would just leave it where he, in the middle where he's changing before.
very, very good distinction. 2 points. Times 2. Right? Zelg's bringing up. I said the case originally. You missed today. That's what the Taz was talking about in the Mishnah Berurah. Kaf HaChaim's case, I think, and to explain what you're really doing, Zelg, you explain my point stronger. But let's say I said the wrong thing. Not just I missed the day. I said the wrong thing. So I'm HaRuach HaGeshem, HaRuach HaGeshem, and then let's emphasize Nusach Sfard. Morid Atol. So there, it's not just okay. I'm going further and further. I missed the day. Maybe I'm going backwards now. Maybe I'm spiraling. I said the wrong thing. Yes, that's the mashal. There we go.
Relax.
So you see, he heard the word spiraling. That got him thinking or drinking. But so it's very delicate how you play around with these things, how you get these numbers. I'll point out one other step. In general, this concept of whether or not we use this idea, of Shlomo Zalman, they bring down in the Rav of the Old City. Victor Neverensol has a Mishnah Berurah. He was a Talmud of Shlomo Zalman. And quotes of Shlomo Zalman in general did not recommend doing this 90-time fast forward. He was okay with it though for Mashiv HaRuach. But with Saint Talmud Racha, there he wasn't as okay with it. But Lamaisa, working with this, I saw another few interesting ideas of where we could even change the number a little bit. Let's say you daven for the Amud. No one thought about this case. If you're davening for the Amud, potentially speaking, let's say, unfortunately, a person's an Aval. You're davening for the Amud, Shachrit, and Mincha, Ma'ariv, you don't have a Chazaras Hashatz. So you have 5 per day instead of 3. Right there, you could add. Does that add to the number? And for you, it gets quicker. The answer is yes. What happens?
So you can get your chazaka faster.
Yes.
But you can't get it.
So that's why it's very personal, we said. It's not a communal thing. It's a personal thing. If you're davening for the Amud, right, to Shari Tshuva and Aruch HaShulchan, that you could add the Chazaras Hashat Shmona Esrei to your number, and personally you have another number. I saw similar cases to that. Do I have any other cases like that? No. You could end up saying multiple Shemona Esreis on a day if you keep on forgetting things. But if you're forgetting it, then you can't add it because you forgot it.
One time.
Yes.
So
No.
You could say it by
Keep skipping Yalov Yalov.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, good point. If your reason you're repeating Shemona Esrei is not for your Mashiv HaRuach, but it's because you forgot Yalov Yavo, so then you're right. Seemingly, you could add those on to the equation. So even though you feel like a dunce that I forgot Yalov Yavo, I have to go back, but it worked for something.
I'm generally masking tricks like this, but I'm
Yes.
not masking this.
So you can get your chazaka faster
Apologies.
By making mistakes.
By making mistakes or by being a chiyuv or
Yes.
different ways. You
Yes.
can't get it slower only because safek brachos lahakel.
Yes.
Meaning, if not for that special din, then it would also slow down.
Okay.
You say Yalov Yavo, the same Yalov Yavo 90 times before 2 days Rosh Chodesh.
Does this apply to the older person?
We just did. It's
Has
called
memory
safek.
challenges?
Oh, I was waiting for that. I forgot to bring that up.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm forgetting some things. But what happens to somebody that has memory issues? So Shlomo Zalman writes, "Sorry, buddy." I should repeat that for the home audience. I said, if someone who has memory issues, the idea in the back was floated. You should make him president of the United States. But someone who has memory issues of Shlomo Zalman Paskins that the 90 times or the 30 days would not be sufficient, and if you're still sure that you don't have it, it doesn't work. In contrast,
There's no safe line.
right, it goes by when you know that when you feel safe.
But he doesn't remember that he forgot it.
Right.
What determines this?
If you don't remember that you davened, you don't remember what you did, it's not my problem.
I mean, that guy has putter from davening anyway. There's no one in this room anywhere near that. So.
It's a good day or a bad day.
I saw they brought down, let's say a person is confident in under 90 times. That I'm sure I said it. I'm sure I'm accustomed already now. Then he's Masubik if he said it. It sounds like, to me that sounds a little contradictory.
He's concerned right now about this particular one.
Right.
But he's not concerned. He knows for sure that he did the 90?
So I'm pretty sure, yeah. He knows for sure he said 90. More than that. He says after 40 times I felt accustomed.
Okay.
But now I said it's right?
Right.
Now I'm not sure if I said it.
Great. So.
Then he was wrong about the 40.
Right. That's what.
Go take a walk.
100 times already, and the 201st time you're not sure, you would still go back and say it. So it doesn't matter. That number is irrelevant.
Yeah, that to me that sounds. I did see someone who talked about that case. I can't find it at the moment, but to me it sounds like Tarti de Sasri.
40 times.
Sounds like a stira. Yes. So to recap our numbers, in general, the default setting is from now till 30 days from Shmini Atzeres, which if you take out your calendar, and now I understand also, as we go through all these halachas, you see why they don't make claps on the bima and shul, because it's too specific. Like there's so many things that could warp the number, change the number a little bit. So Shmini Atzeres was Chaf Beis Tishrei, which was October 24th. So Chaf Beis Cheshvan is Parshas Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Chayesara. That's when you turn the page, literally, and keep on going weiter. You could assume that you said the right thing, and you don't have to turn the page back, right? We're going to turn the page forward.
Is that
right?
Friday night? Or is that at Musaf?
Backwards.
You didn't get Shachris on
Yes, but up until there, yes, they bring up that point too. Even though you only started by Musaf, it's good enough for that day.
Besides,
the same answer
is more than 90 times anyway.
Yes. So to conclude, I hope we did justice to the numbers of our rabbis. When they say 30 days, they mean 90 times. They mean 90 times. Sometimes it could be a little less. But once you have those numbers, those are set in stone. If you have a suffix, from that point on, once you reach that threshold, you don't have to repeat Shemona Esrei. But before that, you do. And hopefully, after giving a whole share on this, I myself will remember to say it by Mincha. Tune in next week to a very important number, 501, and hopefully a special share. Thank you very much.
There might be one possible